This right here is Car Con Carne, a Q101 podcast presented by Alex Ross Art, alexrossart.com. Alex Ross, he is a painter, an illustrator, a graphic novelist, a comic book legend. His artwork single-handedly transformed the industry in the early 90s. And in fact, every new thing Alex does, whether it's a comic or interiors or whatever he's working on, it changes the industry. Every time he lifts a pencil or paintbrush, he changes the entire way that people perceive comics. And if you want to see some of his artwork, if you want to buy and own some of his original artwork or get signed stuff, go to alexrossart.com and keep up with my pal Alex on his YouTube channel at The Alex Ross. So if you are new to Alex Ross and you're watching on video, I apologize to audio listeners, but if you're watching on video, YouTube, Facebook, here's a little bit more about what Alex Ross is all about.
It's Car Con Carne. Let's eat in the car. It's Car Con Carne. And now here's the star of our show, James Van Alstyne.
How is it already the middle of April? And just 1 month from now, on May 19th, I'm heading to Soldier Field for the Fight for Air climb, something I'm doing with the American Lung Association, something I did just last month in March. I did the Fight for Air climb. You could probably see my shirt. I'm wearing the ceremonial garb of the Fight for Air climb, something I did at the Oakbrook Terrace Tower in Oakbrook in March, climbing all 30 floors, OMG, of the Oakbrook Terrace Tower. The whole idea, to raise money, to raise awareness, to fight lung disease. And I'm assembling a team, and I'd love for you to be part of it. Go to fightforairclimb.org/Chicago and click register as a team member. And from there, search for Car Con Carne, get yourself signed up, and we'll be on the same team. You'll be on Team Car Con Carne. If you don't want to be part of my team, I don't take it personally. Get yourself signed up, create your own team. Just do it at fightforairclimb.org/Chicago. Join me at Soldier Field. Let's have some fun. Let's do some good. So imagine this. After a night out, you pull into your driveway. The garage light comes on. Then you open the door to the mudroom. The light goes on there. Walking into the house, the kitchen light comes on. Spotify comes alive with your favorite playlist. Maybe it's not loud enough, so one button from your phone or tablet cranks it up. Your home is in sync with you. That's what a smart home is all about. That's what easy automation means. Experience seamless control over everything. Get a quote. Turn your home into a smart home. Visit easy-automation.net or give my guy Dan, he's the best, my guy Dan, 630-730-3728. Call Dan. He's a real-life human being. He's not an AI construct. He will help you through this really simple transition. Hassle-free quote. Get it. easy-automation.net.
Think about the opportunities.
Think about the opportunities. So, Deep Tunnel Project. Our work here is never done. Chicago to Calumet.
Yeah, we connected.
To my right, it is John Mohr of Deep Tunnel Project. We came to know him through Tar, former guest on Car Con Carne. I want to talk about this record, which I relocated to the back seat because it's awesome. And it is, by your own definition, a Chicago record.
It is.
This is Chicago through and through. I want to talk about that. We're recording this on a very rainy Thursday night in Skokie, Illinois.
Just opened up.
The second, I think you had to go from car to car. It poured. We're in Skokie, Illinois at Herm's Palace, which is a really great hot dog joint. It's been here since I was a kid.
Yeah.
But we got classic Chicago dogs. We're going to talk about this very Chicago album.
It's my go-to. There's Poochie's just west of here, which is no slouch.
No slouch at all.
But they
do the char dog.
Yeah.
And they do Mercs on their cheddar fries, which is top notch, and their cheddar burgers.
Tim was talking about, and he may show up, but they have some sort of sausage that has a secret preparation.
Don't know, but
Yeah.
since we're talking about this very
Anyways.
Chicago album, especially for people who aren't from Chicago, like this is holy grail kind of stuff. The classic Chicago dog, which Herm's does
Yeah.
so well.
Oh man,
Look at that. Do you do all the sport peppers?
I do. They're sometimes a little much, but if you're gonna do the dog, you do everything.
Sometimes, and I hope this doesn't happen on mic or on camera, sometimes if I do sport peppers too quickly, I start hiccuping. But this is, for people who aren't from Chicago, like this is a practiced art, getting this in your mouth.
This is it.
There's nothing pretty about this.
No.
And I don't know if you're like me, when I go to get hot dogs for other people, like family members, I have a really hard time not getting a snack hot dog for the trip home. Because one hot dog never feels like enough.
Yeah.
Two feels right. But like a car hot dog, a road hot dog always
Yeah.
seems like a nice treat for the...
Two's a lot. And
Is
there's
it?
always do you do fries or don't do fries? Because they usually come with.
I usually do fries.
Yeah.
I ordered before you got here. Because, to be fair, you were napping at our scheduled start time. I'm sitting in the car.
I was so excited about this. I was waiting all day. And I said to a friend, I was like, I need to rest before this interview.
Because you know how exhausting it'll be.
Well, how exhausted I was.
So you decided to just going to close your eyes for a couple minutes. How long were you out?
Probably an hour and a half.
And they tell you, like, if you take a nap that's longer than like 20 or 30 minutes, you're doing yourself a disservice.
Mm.
Although I love napping. I feel like you've won the day if you have time to nap. So I'm sitting here in the Herm's Palace parking lot in Skokie, Illinois. We're supposed to meet at 6. Gets to be 6:10. I'm like, well, he's a musician. Come on.
Right.
Gets to be 6:15. I'm like, okay, I'm getting the vibes.
What the fuck?
I'm getting the what the fuck vibes. Because just last week, 1 week ago tonight, I was completely ghosted by another band. I kind of have PTSD from that whole experience. I'm like, oh my God, John Mohr of Deep Tunnel Project, also of Tar, he's not going to do that to me. But as it turned out, you were just getting some rest.
Yeah.
You're gearing up for this.
The first order of business is showing up.
That's right.
And even that I couldn't handle.
But we're here. We're going to talk about this excellent album. It's easier to hold up the CD, physical media. So the vinyl is sold out on Bandcamp, but we can get it at record stores in Chicago.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Because I wanted to prepare. I'm like, oh shit, it's already sold out. But you brought one, which is amazing. And we can buy it local record stores. Support your local record store. We're recording this right before Record Store Day.
Yeah. It's a good day to go. Any day is a good day to go.
Any day is a dangerous day to go to the record store. Do you have a go-to?
So I'm just east of here. So
Are you a squeeze box guy?
Squeezebox is on the way home from work. So
Their
that's
budget
good.
bins have some nice surprises.
Yeah.
I mean, I've spent a lot of time, like right when you walk in, like straight back to the left. Like their $4 or $5 records are awesome. Or like 3 for $10, whatever it is. I found some great stuff, like Shaft.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the Tim, the owner, loves music, cares about it, and last time I checked, which was yesterday, there was a copy there.
Of this. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Deep Tunnel Project. All right, so Deep Tunnel Project, this is a Chicago album. We've established that. As it says, at least on Bandcamp, but probably elsewhere, we rehearse here, work here, live here, and have paid our dues here. Like it or not, we're lifers.
Yep.
We have strong feelings about how to slice a pizza, probably also about what belongs on a hot dog,
Yeah.
and we appreciate good art and infrastructure. There's less road ahead than there is behind us that's dark, but there is still time left to create. While we won't finish what we started, much like the Deep Tunnel Project itself,
You got that.
we will continue working. I guess I get it. Let's say there's someone watching in Duluth or in Estonia. What is the Deep Tunnel Project? I feel like if you're going to name your project or your band this, you have to be at least somewhat conversant in Deep Tunnel Project lore.
Well, it's a civics works project that God started decades ago, 50s, 60s, 70s, somewhere in there. It's been going on as long as I've been alive. And the idea, as it's raining, is that there would be this system of tunnels underneath the greater Chicagoland metropolis area, stretching all the way from Wilmette to the north to Calumet, the south, all the way west to O'Hare or Des Plaines. Take your pick. I guess O'Hare is west of Des Plaines. And so this connected system of tunnels collects all the storm water, rainwater, and it flows effortlessly into this massive reservoir or system of reservoirs, a quarry. And instead of dumping the dirty stormwater with sewage and whatever into the lake, it all goes there. And the project's it's as easy as that. It's like saying we're going to take this river that flows into Lake Michigan and have it go the other way. But this is the tunnels. And so I'd always heard about this project growing up and thought it was kind of audacious. And then actually I was in Tar, so what was it, around 1990. Was thinking that would be a great band name, and
all the way back then you thought that?
Yeah, a friend of the band and producer Brad Wood and I actually started on something way back then, and recorded a little bit, but it never got too far. So, anyways, and then Tar did what Tar did. I unplugged from music, left the city proper, and the eastern half of the U.S. Disappeared, and then a couple years ago got the itch to play my own music again. And
how many years did you not have that itch? Was it like 25?
No, let's see. So Tar ended in 95, and then Blatant St did a reunion show in 2009, so whatever that is, 14 years. And then Tar did two shows in 2012, so that was 17 years, I think that's right. And that was kind of fun. And then Tar did a couple more shows in 2017.
So you were scratching a musical itch, but you weren't writing.
Right. And then I kept seeing John Langford play, and I got inspired by him and thought, well, I should try to do something. And so I told him about that, and what I ended up doing was joining his band Skull Orchard for a while, which was wonderful. And then Skull Orchard, we played some shows, recorded, and then in fall of 19, I think we kind of hit the pause button, and definitely hit the pause button in 2020, and then Skull Orchard, unfortunately, had the full impact of the pandemic with Joe Camarillo passing away. I guess it was winter of 20, so not directly, but certainly related to the pandemic, which was sad, to say the least. And then a year later, actually, I guess it was spring of 20, Jeff Dean wrote me out of the blue on the Facebook Messenger, as we do, and wanted to buy a Tar record that got released in 2012.
Well, go to the source.
Yeah. And I said, well, I think they're gone. Maybe I have one in the basement. And I had one in the basement. So we met at Hub's. Hubs, which is just west of here, but on the south side of the street.
You have a gyro, or did you go for the ribs? What do you have?
I don't remember.
The gyro is kind of the classic.
It is good.
Yeah.
And it's big portions, which I like.
Absolutely. And I like the tzatziki sauce, the cucumber sauce. And
Oh, man.
Love all of it.
I hope this is a long interview because we can go there afterwards for
I would
for the meal.
I would nightcap at Hubs, no doubt about it. So you met Jeff Dean there, who's the unofficial mayor of Morton Grove, as I understand it. In fact, I'm going to be meeting Jeff Dean somewhere for his other project at some point.
One of his other projects.
Fair. In just a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I'd met Jeff maybe a year or two prior and knew a little bit about him. Oh, thank you. It's bad enough to be late. I don't want to create a mess in your car.
Too late.
And I think Mike Greenless and I we had been trying to play. We had written a song the prior summer that hasn't seen the light of day. So, yeah, I guess it was whatever that was, summer of 2019. We wrote a song that never got lyrics, but we called it Vivian Britain, which was a reference to The Young Ones.
Okay.
I don't know if you remember that show.
I know of it. I don't think I've ever watched it.
There's the University Challenge episode. Hilarious. Anyways, we wrote a song, and it took a little bit of effort. It was me and Mike. Mark Zablocki from Tar was at that rehearsal. We were trying to figure something out, and Tony Jones, friend of Tar, who had been in a few bands with Mike.
FOT, friend of Tar.
Yeah, and also in 16 Tons, who were a band who I put out one of their records on No Blow Records way back when. Anyways, so somewhere in there I got the jonesing to do more than just John stuff, my own stuff. And so then there was Jeff. And he was game for trying something. So the three of us got together. And I think we had parts of 2 or 3 songs. And into that summer, I think it was that summer, unless it was 21. I don't know. The pre-vaccine time was pretty bleak. But then, as that says, on a whim, and I'd known Tim Midyett for a long time, since he was in Silkworm, actually, when they were based in Seattle and I lived there. I saw them a couple times. But anyways, I knew Tim would see him socially and periodically, and so I just wrote him and asked him, I know this is kind of crazy, because he's, in another significant band and busy, if he wanted to play, and he said, oh, sure. And I was stunned, but...
Okay.
Yeah.
I love that. And I want to get into the lyrics a little bit, but just staying on that Chicago...
This is so good.
Well, okay, I'll go back to what I was saying in a second.
What did
I'm
you
having
get?
Dr. Brown's, which you don't see all the time. This is a very, Jewish deli type soda. And this is the diet cream soda from Dr. Brown's.
Oh, man. I would love to try that.
It's delicious. They've got a black cherry. They have a celery.
I have had a celery drink recently.
Really?
At a butcher shop, Hofher Butcher.
Oh, yeah. Over in
North.
Yeah, Northfield,
Field.
right off Edens,
right off of.
I keep talking to those guys. I want to do something with them.
Yeah, Sean, the proprietor.
Yeah,
he's a great guy.
We've had a couple of misconnections over the past couple of years. I want to do a podcast.
He had a 10th anniversary bash for his venue or his establishment.
His venue. You're such a musician. The dude's a butcher.
He is a super fan. And so John Langford. What do you do when you want to have a 10th anniversary for your butcher shop?
Langford.
John Langford
Yeah.
played. Yeah, so John and John Zemansky played, and I happened to know about it. I happened to go, and I had a celery drink and lots of meats.
So just like all the tunnels point back to Calumet, do all musical roads point back to John Langford?
Or Jeff Dean.
Mm-hmm.
Those guys, if they get together, I'm not sure what would happen. Can you imagine? Like the like the network diagram of,
Oh yeah, exactly.
of what
All right.
they've been in.
So the Chicago theme, the vibe, the just the deeply entrenched
Yeah.
thing you have going on, is that shared by the band members, or is this really a John Mohr perspective?
I don't know that we've ever talked about it. I think everyone appreciates it.
Because Chicagoans can get pretty chest thumpy and proprietary about.
Oh, yeah. I think it's more. It's with the Midwestern vibe. Like, generally, I mean, we don't have to talk about it, but Jeff loves to needle me about lyrics, so got to start with something.
Let's talk about lyrics, because this is the
Yeah.
first time. I didn't realize this until you told me.
Yeah.
This is the first time you've actually made your lyrics available. You didn't make people.
Right. Yeah, actually, in two ways. One is they're on the insert. There's an insert in both.
Amazing.
And the really Jeff and Tim insisted that the vocals be quite a bit louder in the mix, or prominent, or I might now say appropriately, positioned.
How do you feel about that? I think it sounds great.
I feel good about it. I regret having listened to this that some of the Tar records didn't have vocals a lot higher in the mix.
I do want to take a quick break. I'm going to take the camera off you, John. On May 19th, I will be climbing the steps of Soldier Field. It is part of the Fight for Air Climb, along with the American Lung Association. fightforairclimb.org/Chicago. Once you're there, register for a team, search Car Con Carne. You can be part of my team, or you can start your own team. The whole idea is to raise funds and awareness and to fight lung disease. fightforairclimb.org/Chicago. That's a mid-roll ad.
Nice.
Right there, yeah. Just out of the blue. We're talking Deep Tunnel Project. Suddenly, boom, there's the American Lung Association. Right there.
Congratulations on your recognition, your well-deserved appreciation.
Well, thank you.
Podcast of Chicago's favorite, Chicago of the year.
No,
Chicago's own.
Car Con Carne was named best music podcast by the Chicago Reader in the Best of 2023 poll. So it's something I do not take lightly. I'm goddamn. I'm delighted to be able to share. Thank you very much, and thank you for coming back and doing another show.
Oh, thank you.
Elysian Fields.
Yeah.
First one finished out of this whole batch of songs.
Yeah.
My favorite lyric on the album: "What is never finished will never be done."
Yeah. Aspirational, or coming to terms with the way things go. Yes.
And you have very Chicago woes on this one.
Definitely mining Jeff Pizzotti.
I didn't want to say that, but
I did it in blatant dissent, and I'm happy to do it again.
The Sweetest Bells. Is this about near-death experiences? Cancer. I almost died twice.
Yeah, it's about death. Yeah.
People around you, you specifically.
It's everywhere.
Okay. And then Dry Spell. Let's go back to the Deep Tunnel Project in general, from Wilmette to Calumet, from DeKalb to Calumet. This really, I mean, you are marrying yourself to the idea of the Deep Tunnel Project. You are really pulling that through in every way, shape, and form.
It's like a concept record.
It is. This is The Wall.
You know, we recorded this at our rehearsal space, and there was a couple of reasons. One was it's where we started. It's where we were comfortable. It had been so long for me since I'd sort of been at the core of making something. I was really intimidated at the prospect of going back into a proper studio. And so we thought, well, we've got some talented friends, let's just record it here. So we did. And while we discussed the pros and cons or merits and otherwise of that, I think I may have said, this ain't no Dark Side of the Moon. So we recorded it live in our rehearsal space, and then handed it over to Jay Robbins to
Amazing.
make some sense of. And he did a wonderful job.
Were you really intimidated to go back into a studio?
Yeah.
Just because it had been so long, like...
95? Well, no, I mean, I'd been... Well, it was just John stuff, like, here's a sheet of paper to play this. Yeah, it was... I was saying to Jeff Dean recently, it was sort of a crisis of confidence period, but I think it was more than that. And I mean, the logical place to record would be at Electrical, just with the history with Steve, and just the prospect of of him saying, "Are you sure you want your record to sound like that?" was a little much for me. So, which is more a comment about me than Steve, who's a prince. But
You needed some more tender care this time around?
it felt comfortable just to do it where we'd been writing the songs anyways.
Makes sense. Chapter, verse, overture.
Yeah.
There's a casualness to the way this song moves. How was it created?
This was one of those I had sort of the main riff idea and had been playing it in different tunings, or keys rather, on my acoustic guitar. So it's sort of one of those strummy songs. It's always interesting going from like acoustic on the couch to, and I think the song ended up like really big. I mean, it's really wide. Langford would use the term cinematic, I think. I'm pausing to try to think about how to talk about Rachel Drew's part, which actually...
But she has this great texture to the chorus.
Yeah, and Rachel... We're in her neighborhood, actually. I'm
I recorded with her at PETA Inn a couple months ago.
Yeah.
But and then her voice is kind of haunting as the song trails off. I mean, she just adds... It's subtle. She doesn't dominate when she appears, but it's nice, subtle, and
that's a new element. I mean, for me, on my own stuff, I think. Again, and maybe there's some things I learned from John Langford. As with Skull Orchard, Gene Cook would be singing. But the casualness is interesting.
It's just
trying to think of that. It's the vibe.
It's not an angular song. It's not an angry song. It just kind of moved at a different pace.
Yeah. It takes a lot of, and I think I'm still learning it. It's, I don't know, it takes a lot of control or a lot of something to sort of pull back and not just hammer everything for 3.5 minutes. And so that song does that well.
And if people ever decide to play Chicago music bingo while listening to this show, they can already check off Steve Albini, John Langford, Jeff Dean. I mean...
Yeah, Jeff Pizzotti.
They're getting close to a bingo. Who else do you want to mention? You want to throw Billy Corgan out there? Deep Tunnel Project. It is self-titled, and it's awesome. I mean, again, it's a very Chicago-sounding album. It's just a tough-sounding album. It's really well produced. The music's awesome. I love hearing your vocals elevated in the mix.
Thanks. Me too.
Really nice job. Really nice job. So now that you're back in the swing of things, now that you've confidently emerged from the recording process, what's next for the band? We mentioned Jeff Dean, who's got a bunch of different things going on. How often are you guys going to assemble, perform? What's next?
Well, it is certainly something we're doing because we enjoy it. So
Wait, you're not doing this to become famous?
Whatever was going to happen was going to happen. Although it's a weird world. I mean, just last Friday on national public radio, NPR, not this local BEZ stuff.
Yeah.
Blatant Dissent was name-checked in the history of how Steve Albini got to where he did to end up recording with Nirvana.
That's interesting.
Blatant Dissent and Urge Overkill, which I didn't know about until a friend told me on Monday.
That's awesome.
So weird long road. But we're enjoying playing and writing music with each other. We typically do that on Thursdays.
Okay.
But everything was canceled so that we could do this.
I feel terrible.
No.
For real? I thought you said some of the guys were out of town.
Yeah, they were out of town.
Okay.
Well, right. The idea was that we would all do this with
Yeah.
you. Is that for your doggo?
It is. I've got a Cavalier King Charles Spaniel, and that's his that's his little carrying case that he sits in.
That's sweet. So we're playing periodically. We're happy to play whatever. We're not going to get famous or rich. Haha. So we'll see. And we're writing more music. We just wrote a song, got it knocked into shape last week.
Awesome.
So,
all right. So, for people to listen, where do you want to send them?
You can go to your local record store, which is the first place I would go. So there's records and CDs. Bandcamp, either the I almost said Tar, and I caught myself, and then I almost said Blatant Dissent.
You've done a lot.
There's a lot of reissues during this period. There were so these were made at Smash Plastic in Chicago, and so I realized, I think it was over a 2-year period, there were 4 Tar records, 1 Blatant Dissent, and then this all made. So not the biggest runs. When I picked up these records, a Wilco record was being produced, and quantities far exceeding the Deep Tunnel Project run. As far as the eye could see was Wilco, and then I picked up a box of records, and that was it. So Bandcamp, Deep Tunnel Project, or Comedy -1, which is the label we're on, which is Tim's Mint Mile
Love it.
label as well. And they also have Silkworm stuff and a lot of other bands.
Well, I'm so glad the muse found you again.
Me too.
To write and create. I think this sounds absolutely perfect.
I'm trying not to kick myself for hitting pause for a couple decades.
Well, when it's right, it's right. I mean, you can't force creativity. I've seen people try.
Well, yeah. But, if you do a little bit over a long period of time, you can do something.
Is it like riding a bicycle? The muscle memory of how to create, play, and be in a band?
The other guys, band members, I'd love to hear their take on it. I think the biggest part of the muscle was getting, for me, again, my confidence back, and then my voice, both the literal and the sardonic wit, which a gold standard's a preposterous thing to say. Bob Dylan stole my hits. I mean, right? I think you would give him some credit.
Yeah, right. John, thank you so much.
Thank you.